Boom. 28th of February.
Wow.
28 beers. The last one.
I think you saved the best for last. At least.
I don't know. That's interesting. So this is Sierra Nevada Hop Bullet Double IPA.
Or maybe not.
From Chico, California, Mills River, North Carolina. Spring seasonal. I liked Sierra Nevada a lot when I first came to America with the IPAs and stuff. Then they were a bit too hoppy for me, but this is interesting. So this is Hop Bullet Double IPA features a new technique. We're hitting a beer with a double-barreled slug of Magnum hops and a lapulin dust, the source of hop flavour and aroma, right into the fermenter for a ballistic burst of aggressive hop character. Because that's actually what I feel America needs, is another really, really super hoppy beer.
Yeah. We don't have enough IPAs here. It's weird because I feel like IPAs became very popular a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Like, I think there was like this huge boom of IPAs.
Well, I literally just, got a face full of hops from taking the thing off.
You took hops straight to the face?
I did. I got hop bukkake.
It's got a good, that's gross. It's got a nice color.
Oh, hey.
It's got a fantastic head.
Yes.
At least we're finishing with good head. And,
well, actually, you say it's got a fantastic head. Let's see how long it hangs around for. It does seem to be hanging around for a while. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And look how it clings to the side of the glass.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, that is really good head.
Yeah. That's definitely an IPA.
Yeah,
It's very hoppy.
that is.
I can't tell if it's too hoppy or not, though.
The problem is that normally we drink this colder.
Yeah.
Which I don't think this is like. They call it aggressively hopped. I don't think it's like.
I think it's pretty aggressively hopped.
Yeah, but it's not like overwhelmingly so. I think this is hoppier than I probably like, but
Yeah.
it is funny how I'm just done with super hoppy beers.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like too much of a good thing.
You're saying too much hops, or you've drank too many IPAs?
No, I think hops are too much of a good thing. I think people have been
I think
like,
so.
You know,
I think I drank too many IPAs in like a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried a lot of IPAs. I mean, not even just in February. I think when I first got into IPAs, I tried a lot of them, and that was just like all I drank. And then I think I just like my palate craved something darker, and so I got more into stouts. But this is fair.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
It's not my favorite beer that we drank.
But I would quite happily have like a pint of this. There's a place, Yankee Doodle Tap Room in Princeton. I love that place. And it's like you go there and you have like maybe 1 pint of beer.
Yeah.
And it's like I could quite happily drink this and be like, this is a good robust pint of beer.
So, what do you think? We should have probably like wrote this out or like kind of reviewed the beers that we did. What do you think your favorite beer was that we drank this month?
2 stood out for me. One was the Long Trail.
Which we didn't make a video about.
Well, we did make a video about it, but
And
you
then
didn't
it
want to
got
put it
cut
up because it
off.
got cut off at the end.
And that was I felt like that one we couldn't put up a cutoff version because that was kind of like an emotion. Like I felt like we were like on a roll and like we were really getting into some like deeper stuff. And even like I showed, because we talked about like I talked about like my comedic, my I don't say my comedic like timing, but like I guess like my comedic filter with my dad, and like since we're not gonna air that episode, I'll kind of recap it. I talked about how like when I was like 12, we went to a party and I told an off-color joke, and my dad like pulled me in. After the party we got home, my dad like reamed me out after, and he doesn't remember this, but I definitely do, and I said like after like while writing the show, I always think like, is this going to be offensive to any group of people, or is it really making fun of one person in particular, and that's just kind of like the I try and make the clean version. I felt like we talked a lot about that. We talked a lot about how when I write stuff, I only write stuff that is I only write stuff that about myself basically because I don't know how sensitive you guys are to a certain topic, and like, you know, occasionally like I'll kind of ask one of you like, hey, do you mind if I write this in, or I try to be respectful of that, but I think that for the most part,
I know where the season's going, and you kind of
it's interesting
take
because
some interesting directions.
We did take some interesting directions, and the episode that I'm writing now, the follow-up to that is interesting, given a situation that's arising within our group. And I don't know if I need to change that direction, both because when I pitched the idea to you, you were like, that's much darker than I was willing to go.
Is this, because I think this is the idea
this is
that
the
I
episode,
pitched to you.
the idea you pitched to me, and then I had a follow-up of, you know, what happens post that episode, and you were like, that's a very dark path. But I just feel like there has to be some realism, and I think that, like, a sitcom, you kind of have to love the characters. I think if the characters aren't lovable, nobody wants to... I don't think people want to watch unlovable characters. At least I feel like I don't. I much prefer, like, a more wholesome character than a flawed character.
But I think also sitcoms, sometimes they have really... I think some of the most emotional moments in television have been in sitcoms.
I know, I totally agree
I never
with you.
saw it, but I'm aware of, because I studied it. There was some show with a guy called Archie Bunker or something, and his wife got, like...
got assaulted, yeah.
Yeah, and that was, like...
All in the Family was the show.
And that was, like, a super dark...
Yes, it was her birthday. And then, like, they were all out, like, buying her a present or something, and then she gets, like, raped in their house, and then, like, she has, like, a trauma, and... Hey, Willow. I'll try and be nice to the dogs, because somebody commented that I was mean to Ruby in one episode. But yeah, I think that, like... I think because you don't expect it all the time, from a sitcom, that it becomes real... I think also because the characters are so lighthearted that when something dark happens to them, you're like, oh man, like, that's even more unfortunate. That's even more unfortunate than it normally would have been. And I think that's kind of, you know, the darkest part of that episode would be happening to a quote-unquote guest character, I suppose. But it is a real issue.
Yeah, and that's...
Stay tuned, because I feel like we are going to actually write about this. We're referencing episode 18 and 19 right now.
The other thing that I find really interesting, because obviously I am an actual novelist.
Yeah.
I've always had this weird thing with my books that what I write is always based on... Well, a lot of what I write is based on, like, situations I've been in and things like that, but a lot of what I write ends up coming true. In one form or another. To the point where there have been several occasions where I've been like, this is disturbing the way... Yeah. And so I just think it...
Ruby! I feel that too. And even...
Sorry, the dog was just...
Yeah. The other day I was talking to a friend, and we were kind of joking. I was like, alright, I'm going to manifest something for you. And we wrote an episode about, manifesting. And I said to her, I was like, I want to manifest something for you. And she was like, I want my life to be in order by my birthday, and her birthday is the end of April. And I said, I was like, give me specifics. So she started, like, listing certain things off, and I was like, okay, like, I can deal with this. Like, I can, like, envision this, and, like, kind of, you know, kidding around with her. But then, like, one of the least likely things fell into place, and I was like, well, that's bizarre. So, yeah.
I find sometimes I'll go through, like, old hard drives or old flash drives, and I'll see something written, because every year I always write my goals for the year. Mm-hmm. And, like, the other day, I found one from, like, 2013. Yeah. And in 2013, I hadn't met any of those goals. But... Really? I've met all of them now.
Since then. Okay.
And it's kind of weird looking at them, like, wow, I met all of those goals now. And so, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger always said, when you write it down, instead of a dream, it becomes a goal.
That's interesting. I mean, in theory, when you tell other people about your goals, you're less likely to achieve them, statistically speaking. But I think that there is something to be said about having them written down and just crossing them out. And I think it was what's the Charisma on Command? Is that the
Yeah, that's a great YouTube channel.
Yeah, so I think that they had a video where they basically just said, write out like what's your easiest thing to do, and just cross it out every morning. Just get like what's your, But then there's also the Eat the Frog method. Have you ever heard of Eat the Frog?
Yes, no, I've read Eat the Frog.
So
Brian Tracy wrote Eat the Frog.
Okay, right. So for those of you unfamiliar, Eat the Frog is where you pick your toughest thing of the day, and then you do it. So basically you're eating a frog, because eating a frog would be a tough task. So like whatever your toughest thing to do that day, you just do it off the bat, and then you get it done. It's out of the way, and yeah.
I've done so much crazy because I used to be ridiculously disorganized, and I spent so much time studying different methods to get myself organized and stuff like that. And I have this system with post-it notes at work that everyone laughs at, but really works for me.
Honestly, you gotta find stuff that works for you.
Yeah, and Brian Tracy, I've read 3 or 4 of his books, and Eat the Frog is every single at some point in your day you have your most energy, and the thing is energy, focus, and willpower are finite resources. So while you have that focus and willpower, you need to expend it on your most pressing task, eating the frog. The problem is most people go into work and they're full of energy and they spend it going through their email, which is probably their least important task, or something like that. So what you do is you ignore everything else and you eat that frog.
Yeah.
The best advice I got was from a book called 18 Minutes by a guy called Peter Bregman. No, not Peter Bregman, he's the stocks guy. I'll think of the name.
Okay.
But he says the last 18 minutes of every single working day, write down a to-do list of everything for the next day. And that, if there was one particular piece of advice I would give for getting your life in order, it's that. You write down everything you have to do the next day. And so you wake up in the morning, you go to work, and when you get into work, there on your desk is a thing saying, these are the things you need to achieve today.
That's interesting.
And that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Why 18 minutes?
What he actually does is, and this is another good thing, he gets his Outlook calendar, and he blocks out time for each of the tasks. And he spends 18 minutes writing a list of what he has to do the next day, and then blocking out time on his calendar to actually do it.
So there's no significance to 18, it just happens to be that's what the number was. Gotcha. Okay.
But that's good. That's really served me well.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's interesting, the to-do list, that's another good thing. You should always eat the frog, do the toughest thing first.
Yeah.
But if you write a to-do list of everything you need to do, sometimes you look at it and be like, that's going to take me 5 minutes.
Let me just get it done.
Do it. Yeah.
Right. I agree with that. I think there's something to be said for both methodologies, and kind of mixing the do the easiest task first and eat the frog first method. Honestly, I mean, I think if you bang out the easy stuff, you're accomplishing more by banging out the easy stuff, but you're also accomplishing enough by eating the frog. If all you do that day is eat the frog, that's your biggest task, and that's the most substantial.
So I find it really interesting. So for 6 months, I was working. I was working on my own business things, being a writer, and that was interesting because while I was working in an office environment, if I was busy, I felt like I was being productive.
Yeah.
And I know that some of my bosses were like, okay, you're busy all the time. You're doing you're working hard. But the thing is, you're not working hard on the things that are most important.
Right.
And I noticed when I was working for myself. And basically, I was like, how am I going to bring the cheddar and pay the bills?
Right.
Then I had to be like, okay, I can't just busy myself doing this because that's fine. I'm being productive and I'm doing something good.
Right.
But I need to focus on the stuff that's going to bring the money.
Yeah.
And that's where you start to realize.
No, I totally agree. And it's interesting because the other day, I worked. I've been working a lot of overnights lately, and the other day I worked an overnight and I did. I revised 2 episodes. I added a little bit more to a third. I wrote a paper for somebody, all while working an overnight. So I was basically making money for myself. I was making money doing my own thing while being paid by somebody else. And then that was the night I did 3 overnight shifts in a row. And the second, that was the first one. The second 2, I wasn't able to bring my laptop in with me and have it open and kind of get work done, and I was sitting there and I'm like, what the hell am I doing right now? But then I'm like forgetting the fact that I'm actually making money doing the overnight, because I'm not making the money for myself, or I'm not growing my, I'm not growing my brand, I'm not growing, the show at all. And so yeah, there is something to be said. I think it's more motivating to work for yourself than for somebody else.
I think so. I think you have to get real about that. And I know we've been rabbiting on about something completely non-beer related. I will say the final thing, the 80-20 rule, which is where 20% of your effort brings in 80% of your rewards.
Yeah.
So you've got to identify that, and most people focus on the 80% of their work that brings in 20%.
Right.
So. Oh, we should talk about beers. Okay, so
I thought it was good beer. I finished it. You didn't.
But we were talking about our favourite beers.
Oh, right.
So we said the Long Trail...
you know what I really liked, that was kind of like a dark horse candidate for me, at least, was the Samuel Smith. That was a very... I enjoyed the beer a lot.
That was chocolate stout, wasn't it?
It was chocolate stout. It was my favorite. It was one of my favorites. Or probably one of the 3 through 6 beers, because I really liked those a lot. I mean, that was the one that I basically picked out on my own. But I really enjoyed those beers.
I like the Elliot Ness Amber.
That was a good one too. The
ale,
one from Cleveland.
I think that one and Long Trail were my favourites. They're both amber ales.
Yeah.
But
by far, my least favorite though
was the Russian
one. That was horrific. The Russian. I would rather drink my own piss than drink that Russian beer again. That's not what
coincidence. That. Yeah. It wasn't your own piss, but...
No, that was my own piss probably would have tasted better. Especially after drinking all these beers.
Yeah. So I really liked the Polish Porter.
Okay. I liked it.
White. Yeah. Yep, that was good. I did like the Samuel Smith. That was very drinkable.
Yeah.
I thought some of the... When you brought in those 3 of which were like stouts aged in oak barrels, they were a little overpowering for me. But one of them, the Amber Ale... aged in oak barrels, I really liked.
Yeah.
I think the only ones that have been disappointing is when we strayed to like mainstream beers, like the Devassa, which was the Brazilian beer. That was.
I would say the abroad episode wasn't my favorite. Like that series where we went abroad wasn't my favorite. Minus Long Trail, which we didn't air. Were there any beers that were there any breweries that you wish we would have hit that we didn't? It's hard to remember which ones we hit. I mean, 28 is a lot. That's a lot to just recall, given that you can basically only remember like 10 numbers at a time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
Did we do Brooklyn? We did Brooklyn, right?
Yes, I seem to remember we did do Brooklyn
beers,
because Brooklyn Brewery.
Yeah.
And they do good stuff.
They do. I'm trying to think if there are any others that we like.
I was a head writer for a magazine that my friend started in Brooklyn. She lived opposite the Brooklyn Brewery.
Really?
Which is kind of cool.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there was any others any other big ones that we missed. I don't think so, because we focused a lot on microbrews. I was pretty happy with...
I'm sure, to be honest, I'm sure there are lots we missed, but...
No, totally. But I'm saying, like, there weren't any, like... You know what? This is one beer that I always drink whenever I go out to drinks after work. And it's a Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale.
Oh, I just bought a 4-pack of that for Tina.
Right. Which I think is fantastic. I could drink that all day. Never get tired of it. That's easily one of my favorite beers. And I go out to it. I go out fairly regularly with a coworker, and we always she always gets Ballast Point, and then I always get the Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale, and it's like almost like a joke of we'll order for each other when we go to
Ballast Point. That's a California one, isn't it?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was a successful month. Drank a lot of beer, a lot of different kinds of beer.
I think it's interesting because I always like my crappy European lagers, but I'll say probably this has reinforced my thing. I like amber ales. They have to be kind of like. And
it's reinforced my I've really gotten into stouts, and I really like them because I think we drank a handful of those, and I really enjoyed those. I realize that I'm over IPAs, which is a little sad. Because it's like when you like realize that you're over your first girlfriend, you're like, this is disappointing. Notice everything always connects back to my love life.
For me, it makes me think of there's a line in the James Bond book of like when you go to your first real tailor and he looks at your suit and he's like, I think we can do better than that, sir.
Yeah.
And that's what I think with IPAs. I'm like,
yeah,
IPAs are like, yeah, I'm into craft beers. I love my IPAs, and then something's
that's
like,
true actually. Yeah.
Whoa, okay, kid.
Yeah, it's like a poser hipster thing.
Yeah, settle down, kid.
Right.
Let's give you some craft beers.
Right.
And I think some of the interesting ones, like we did the River Horse, did the Pilsner.
Yeah.
And that was
actually a good one.
Yeah, and there are a lot of them. A lot of the most interesting ones to me have been where they've taken, like, regular style of beers and they've done nothing like fancy to them.
Right.
And like the Yards IPA, I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Talk about IPAs. Okay, most IPAs are a bit hops. The Yards IPA was just like that was what an IPA should be like.
Right.
Yards always do really great beer, but that was.
They do, which is ironic because their recipes are over 300 years old.
Oh. Anyway, we should probably wrap this up.
We probably should because nobody's watching this anymore. Yeah. Everybody's turned it off and be like, oh, these guys keep talking.
Okay, so Margarita March.
Do you really want to do
31
Margarita?
days. 31 margaritas.
I don't think we do Margarita March, but we could probably do. You know, we'll come up with some special for March.
I'm gonna do Margarita March.
Every day,
31 days.
We could do 31 margaritas in 31 days.
I don't know if we could come up with 31 different varieties of margarita, but we could just drink.
Oh, we definitely could.
Okay. Challenge accepted.
I mean, you figure like Longhorns has like 4 or 5. Fridays, I'm sure, has like 3 or 4. That's easily like it's easily 7.
Margarita March. It's on.
Stay tuned for more of Roland and I destroying our livers. For now, though, happy Fe-BREW-ary, everybody.
Join us then for Liver Transplant April.
Exactly.
Okay. Ciao.
We should give our blood types.